As future educators, one of the most critical skills you will develop is the ability to manage your classroom effectively. Classroom management is not just about maintaining order, it's about creating an environment where learning can thrive. How do you see your relationship with your students? Do you view yourself as a guide, a leader, or perhaps a mentor? The approach you take in managing your classroom will shape these relationships and significantly impact your students' learning experiences. Today, we will explore several classroom management approaches, each with its unique philosophy and methods. As we discuss these approaches, think about how you might apply them in your future classrooms. Consider how each approach aligns with your values and teaching style, and how it might influence the way you interact with your students. Classroom management approaches are beliefs or viewpoint that teachers use to create and maintain a conducive learning environment. These approaches help teachers establish routines, set expectations, and manage student behavior effectively. As we delve into each approach, I want you to ask yourself, how would this approach look in my classroom? How might it influence my relationship with my students? Let's start with assertive approach. The assertive approach emphasizes clear and consistent communication of expectations, rules, and consequences by the teacher. Imagine a classroom where rules are clearly stated, and every student knows exactly what is expected of them. In this setting, the teacher consistently enforces these rules, ensuring that every student understands the importance of discipline. Take note, consistency is key in the assertive approach. Teachers consistently enforce rules and consequences, ensuring that expectations are clear and understood by all students. The assertive approach respects the rights and needs of both teachers and students. Teachers assert their authority while also acknowledging students' autonomy and individual differences. For example, at the start of the semester, you set clear rules, such as raising hands before speaking. One day, a student interrupts during a lesson. Instead of reacting harshly or ignoring the disruption, you calmly remind the class of the rule. By doing so, you reinforce the importance of respectful communication and maintain order without escalating the situation. Remember, while consequences for misbehavior are enforced, the assertive approach also emphasizes positive reinforcement for desired behaviors. Teachers recognize and praise students for following rules and meeting expectations. What's the implications for future teachers? The assertive approach can be highly effective in maintaining a structured environment, especially for younger students who need clear boundaries. However, it's essential to balance assertiveness with empathy to avoid coming across as overly authoritarian. Consider thinking your answer about this question. How might consistently enforcing rules impact the overall atmosphere in your classroom? Could it lead to a more respectful learning environment? Next is business academic approach. The business academic approach treats the classroom like a professional environment, focusing on efficiency, productivity, and achieving academic goals. Picture a classroom where time is managed like a well-oiled machine. Lessons are structured to maximize learning, and every minute is used productively. Students are expected to arrive prepared, engage actively, and meet deadlines. Consider this scenario. You design your lessons to minimize downtime. Students know that when they walk into your classroom, they are expected to be ready to learn. They complete assignments on time, participate in discussions, and contribute to the collective goals of the class. In this environment, academic achievement is the primary focus. A teacher employing the business academic approach may structure lessons with clear objectives, timelines, and deliverables, similar to project management in a business context. Students are held accountable for completing assignments on time, participating actively in discussions, and demonstrating professionalism in their academic work. Again, students are expected to approach their studies with a professional mindset, demonstrating responsibility, accountability, and commitment to their academic pursuits. In the classroom, the business academic approach may involve setting clear expectations for behavior, participation, and academic performance. Teachers may establish routines, procedures, and systems to ensure smooth operation and facilitate learning efficiency. What does this approach imply for future teachers? This approach is excellent for fostering a sense of responsibility and professionalism among students. It prepares them for real-world expectations but requires careful planning and consistency on the teacher's part. Consider this question also before we proceed to the next approach to classroom management. How might treating your classroom like a professional environment influence your students' attitudes toward their education? Next one is behavior modification approach. The behavior modification approach uses positive reinforcement and consequences to shape students' behavior towards desired outcomes. Imagine using a system where positive behavior is rewarded, and negative behavior has consequences. Over time, students learn that good behavior leads to positive outcomes, encouraging them to act responsibly. The behavior modification approach draws heavily from behaviorist principles, particularly the idea that behaviors can be modified or changed through systematic reinforcement or punishment. The primary objective of the behavior modification approach is to shape and reinforce desired behaviors while reducing or eliminating undesirable behaviors through the use of positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, or punishment. Let's look at this sample scenario. You implement a token economy system where students earn points for positive behavior and lose points for rule violations. These points can be exchanged for rewards or privileges, creating a clear link between behavior and consequences. A teacher using the behavior modification approach might implement a system where students earn points or tokens for completing assignments on time, participating in class discussions, or exhibiting positive behavior. These points can be exchanged for rewards or privileges. Conversely, students may receive consequences, such as loss of privileges or extra assignments, for disruptive behavior or failure to follow classroom rules. So knowing these, what's the implications for future teachers? The behavior modification approach can be highly effective, especially with younger students or those who need more structured guidance. However, it's important to ensure that the system is fair and that all students have the opportunity to succeed. Before moving to the next approach for classroom management, kindly consider answering this question. How could a system of rewards and consequences motivate your students to behave appropriately? Next classroom management approach on our list is group managerial approach. The group managerial approach emphasizes student involvement in managing the classroom, such as through class meetings, committees, and cooperative decision-making. Imagine a classroom where students play an active role in decision-making. They feel a sense of ownership and responsibility for the classroom environment, which fosters collaboration and mutual respect. It's probably best to mention this question: have you experienced being part of classroom officers? That's an example of practice aligned to group managerial approach. We take advantage of their willingness to decide for the betterment of the class procedures, in turn, a sound and harmonious classroom environment. If we allow them that, students will feel more accountable in the rules and procedures that have been happening in their classes. Disciplining the students will be very minimal since among them are selected students that represent a certain level of authority to manage their misbehavior during classes. It's a win-win situation for both students and teachers. But of course, as teachers, you have to guide them in what are expected from them. For example, you hold regular class meetings where students discuss issues, propose solutions, and make decisions collectively. They might decide on classroom rules or plan a class project together. This involvement helps them develop leadership and teamwork skills. But again, you are there in the process. Behind all that, it's still you who lead them, but indirectly, because it seems the students decide everything. The group managerial approach contributes to creating a physically organized and efficient learning environment where students take ownership of their learning space and contribute to its upkeep. It addresses the practical and procedural aspects of learning, promoting a sense of agency and empowerment. What's the implications for future teachers? This approach encourages student autonomy and responsibility, making it particularly effective for older students. It helps students develop a sense of agency, but it also requires the teacher to be comfortable with sharing control. Now, try answering this on your own. How might involving students in classroom management decisions impact their sense of responsibility and ownership over their learning? Next approach is group guidance approach. The group guidance approach focuses on fostering a supportive classroom community where students learn from each other and receive guidance from both peers and the teacher. Imagine a classroom where students feel safe to express their thoughts and ideas, knowing they will be supported by their peers and teacher. In this environment, learning becomes a shared journey. It aims to promote positive relationships, empathy, and social-emotional development among students. Activities focus on cooperation, communication, and problem-solving skills. The group guidance approach contributes to creating a psychologically safe and nurturing learning environment where students feel valued, respected, and connected to their peers and teacher. It addresses the emotional and social aspects of learning, promoting overall well-being. You might be wondering how it is different from group managerial approach? First, the group managerial approach focuses on managing the classroom as a whole, where the teacher acts as the leader, setting rules and ensuring they are followed, but this is mostly done indirectly since student leaders assume and make it seem that the students are the ones deciding. This approach is more about maintaining order and structure, so everyone knows what's expected. On the other hand, the group guidance approach is more about helping students work together, guiding them and making good decisions as a group. Here, the teacher plays more of a facilitator role, encouraging collaboration and helping students learn from each other. So, in short, the managerial approach is about keeping things organized and controlled, while the guidance approach is about fostering cooperation and personal growth within the group. Let's consider this scenario. You encourage peer tutoring and cooperative learning activities. For instance, students work in small groups to solve problems or discuss reading assignments, providing support and guidance to each other. This collaborative approach helps build a strong sense of community. The implications for future teachers of this approach is that the group guidance approach is excellent for building a supportive and inclusive classroom environment. It encourages students to take responsibility for each other's learning, which can lead to deeper understanding and stronger relationships. Now, think and try answering this question. How could fostering a supportive classroom community enhance your students' learning experiences? Now we're on the second to last approach of classroom management, and this is acceptance approach. The acceptance approach emphasizes unconditional positive regard for students, creating a non-judgmental and supportive learning environment. Imagine a classroom where every student feels valued and accepted, regardless of their background or abilities. In this environment, students are more likely to take risks, make mistakes, and learn from them. For example, a student struggles with a difficult assignment and expresses frustration. Instead of simply offering a solution, you listen empathetically, validate their feelings, and provide encouragement. This approach helps build trust and resilience in your students. In short, teachers demonstrate genuine care, empathy, and acceptance towards all students. For teachers using the acceptance approach prioritize building strong relationships with their students. They take the time to get to know each student individually, understand their unique strengths and challenges, and establish trust and rapport. The acceptance approach is crucial for creating a safe and supportive learning environment. It helps students feel valued, which can lead to increased confidence and engagement. However, it requires the teacher to be patient, empathetic, and non-judgmental. In the acceptance approach, as mentioned earlier, the classroom is characterized by a non-judgmental atmosphere where students feel safe to express themselves, share their thoughts and feelings, and take academic risks without fear of criticism or rejection. Aside, unconditional positive regard, and non-judgmental atmosphere. One other distinction of this approach is that the acceptance approach involves providing emotional support to students during both academic and personal challenges. Teachers offer encouragement, validation, and reassurance to help students navigate difficulties and build resilience. The acceptance approach also celebrates diversity and promotes inclusion within the classroom. Teachers embrace students' cultural backgrounds, identities, and experiences, fostering a sense of cultural competence and appreciation for differences. Teachers promote students' self-esteem and self-worth by recognizing and affirming their strengths, talents, and achievements. They create opportunities for students to succeed and feel confident in their abilities. And lastly, when conflicts arise, teachers using the acceptance approach employ strategies for constructive conflict resolution. They facilitate open communication, active listening, and problem solving, helping students resolve conflicts peacefully and learn from their experiences. Before we move to the last approach, ask yourself this question. How might showing unconditional positive regard for your students impact their willingness to engage and participate in class? And finally, the last classroom management approach on our list, success approach. The success approach focuses on fostering students' confidence and self-esteem by providing opportunities for success and celebrating achievements. Imagine a classroom where students are regularly recognized for their efforts and achievements. This recognition motivates them to continue striving for success, creating a positive cycle of growth and confidence. For example, you design tasks and activities that are appropriately challenging yet achievable for your students. When a student successfully completes a challenging assignment, you publicly praise their effort and achievement, reinforcing their sense of success. To you future teachers, it simply implies that the success approach is vital for building students' confidence and self-esteem. By providing opportunities for success, you help students develop a positive self-image, which can lead to greater motivation and academic achievement. Last meeting, we did an activity on learned helplessness where you experienced firsthand how repeated challenges without success can lead to a sense of defeat or giving up. I want you to recall that experience and relate it to the success approach in classroom management. In that activity, many of you might have felt frustrated or even thought, "What's the point in trying?" That's exactly what happens to students who develop learned helplessness. They start believing that their efforts don't matter because they've faced failure too many times without the right support. Now, think about how the success approach addresses this. Instead of letting students fall into that trap, this approach creates an environment where they experience success regularly. By setting realistic goals, providing the right support, and celebrating even small achievements, we can prevent students from feeling helpless. They start to see that their efforts lead to positive outcomes, which builds their confidence and motivation to keep trying. So, the success approach is really about breaking that cycle of learned helplessness you experienced. It's about making sure our students always see a path to success and feel empowered to take it. Now, again for the last time, ask yourself this question. How could celebrating your students' successes impact their confidence and motivation? As we wrap up our discussion on the different classroom management approaches, I want you to take a moment and reflect on everything we've covered. Each approach offers unique strategies for creating a positive and effective learning environment, but they all share a common goal: helping our students thrive. Remember, there isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. The best approach may vary depending on your students, your teaching style, and the specific challenges you face in the classroom. The key is to be flexible and thoughtful, choosing the strategies that will best support your students' growth and success. As future teachers, your ability to adapt and apply these approaches will be crucial in shaping the learning experiences of your students. I encourage you to keep these tools in mind as you continue your journey in education, and always strive to create a classroom where every student feels valued, supported, and empowered to succeed. Remember, effective classroom management is the foundation for successful teaching. By mastering these approaches, you can create a classroom where every student has the opportunity to succeed. Now, how will you apply these approaches in your future classroom? As you move forward in your teaching journey, keep in mind that the way you manage your classroom will have a lasting impact on your students. Your approach to classroom management is not just about maintaining order, it's about creating a space where learning can flourish. So, which approach resonates with you? How will you shape your classroom environment to support your students' growth? These are questions that will guide you as you continue to develop your teaching practice. Thank you for engaging with this lesson on classroom management approaches. Remember, your journey as a teacher is just beginning, and the choices you make will shape the future of your students. Keep reflecting, keep learning, and keep growing as an educator. See you in the next lesson.